And in some of those suits, co-defendants are listed, and in others, celebrities. Could it be a time of reckoning for them too?
The day will come when we will name names other than Sean Combs, and there's a lot of names. It's a long list already.
Welcome back. Authorities have arrested former Abercrombie & Fitch CEO Mike Jeffries.
Powerful individuals for too long have trafficked and abused for their own sexual pleasure young people with few resources.
Diddy and Jay-Z are monsters.
How many victims potentially do you think there could be?
And I remember being like, oh, that's weird. All of Beyonce's posts from Diddy's party are gone.
The music industry is reeling after shocking allegations and arrests that have left fans, critics, and the public questioning how deep the connections between Hollywood's elite really go. What started with the arrest of Sean Diddy Combs on sex trafficking charges has spiraled into a frenzy of speculation and disturbing revelations, linking some of the most powerful names in entertainment and business. For months, rumors had been circulating about high-profile celebrities and business tycoons who may have been involved in questionable activities. But now, with Diddy and the first person speculated to be on the Diddy list behind bars, the public is left wondering who else might be implicated. Has Diddy finally turned against his powerful friends to save himself? And who will be next? Let's rewind to when this all started. Diddy was first named in a lawsuit filed by Cassie, who exposed Diddy's dark side and alleged connections to illegal activities. The case put the spotlight on Diddy and those closest to him.
It's a shocking fall from grace. In less than a year, P. Diddy went from beloved music icon to disgraced sexual predator, at least according to the charges from the feds. Right now, he's behind bars in New York, the same place where just last year, he was given a key to the city. It was a disturbing set of allegations that led to Diddy's arrest in the way of multiple civil suits brought by accusers. And in some of those suits, co-defendants are listed, and in others, celebrities. Could it be a time of reckoning for them too? We're taking a deep dive into all the celebrities listed in Diddy's civil lawsuits and whether they too could face federal charges. I'm Sierra Gillespie, and this is Law and Crime News. A groundbreaking case brought forth just this week when 54-year-old Sean Diddy Combs was arrested on September 15th. He now faces some pretty serious federal charges: racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, and transportation to engage in prostitution. Diddy was indicted by a federal grand jury and is now being held in Brooklyn at the Metropolitan Detention Center after he was twice denied bail. Diddy's attorneys say he was in New York for about a week before the arrest, anticipating the federal indictment. But he wasn't the only one who kind of saw this coming. After federal investigators raided 2 of Diddy's homes back in March, we kind of had an idea something was on the way. According to prosecutors, Diddy and his associates transported commercial sex workers over state lines and even internationally. Diddy then allegedly gave these sex workers and victims controlled substances, at times unbeknownst to the victims. Prosecutors say Diddy did this to keep the victims obedient and compliant. He then took videos of victims having sex with these sex workers, sometimes without their consent. After all this, both Diddy and the victims would receive IV fluids to recover from the physical exertion and drug use. Federal investigators say that during the raids of Diddy's homes, they collected some of these recordings showing the disturbing details of these freak-offs. And the feds had a heads up about these recordings, thanks to some of the civil lawsuits filed against Diddy.
Later on, a lawsuit filed by Lil Rod took things to another level and included the trafficking charges that finally landed Diddy in custody. Due to this, speculation ran wild as people imagined the web of connections involving Diddy's celebrity friends and powerful allies.
Lil Rod worked with Diddy on his Love album starting in 2022 and says he experienced months of abuse all at the hands of Diddy. In his lengthy civil suit, Lil Rod refers to these recordings saying, quote, "Mr. Combs required Mr. Jones," that's Lil Rod, "to record him constantly. Mr. Jones has secured hundreds of hours of footage and audio recordings of Mr. Combs, his staff, and his guests engaging in some serious illegal activity." Lil Rod's lawsuit also lays out some other pretty disturbing claims, like that Diddy sexually assaulted him and forced Lil Rod to have sex with a prostitute. But Lil Rod's lawsuit came out swinging in more ways than one. Not only did it shed light on the dark allegations against Diddy, but it dropped some high-profile celebrity names too.
For quite a while now, we have been told that there would be others facing charges alongside Diddy.
The day will come when we will name names other than Sean Combs, and there's a lot of names. It's a long list already. And of course, I already know who some of these individuals are, but because of the nature of this case, we're going to make damn sure that we're right before we do that. But the names that we're going to name, assuming that our investigators confirm and corroborate what we've been told, are names that will shock you.
Charles, I mean, shocking is an understatement when you hear the details of this case. What are your thoughts after hearing the indictment yesterday?
Good morning, Brian and Natalie. I got to tell you, my thoughts reading the 14-page indictment yesterday were that there are a lot of people in Hollywood who are probably worried about which Diddy parties they were at and what was going on. That's not to say that they were necessarily even involved in any of the things that are alleged by the U.S. Attorney's Office. But if you're at that party and it turns out that that's when he set up one of these freak-off sex parties, or that it was going on in another room and you didn't know about it, there's a good chance that you're going to be called by the U.S. Attorney's Office. And certainly if you were involved, you would get a call because they're going to want to know everything you want to know and may even want you to be a witness. I just think, we're just starting to scratch the surface of what this case, this case is going to touch and involve. And the feds have said that this remains an open investigation. There could be more charges for Diddy. There could be more charges for other people involved. And usually the way this works is once they find out other people are involved or were witnesses.
With Diddy behind bars, some believe it's only a matter of time before more names get pulled into the spotlight. But now, we may finally have the first high-profile figure from the so-called Diddy list. Recently, Mike Jeffries, the former CEO of Abercrombie & Fitch, was arrested on similar charges. Many are speculating that Jeffries' arrest may be due to information Diddy has provided to the authorities in exchange for a lighter sentence. Jeffries, whose lavish lifestyle and reputation for holding exclusive parties mirror Diddy's infamous freak-offs, was actually under investigation before Diddy's case came to light. For years, he had been under scrutiny for his alleged involvement in various illicit activities, but the feds never had enough to charge him. That all changed when Diddy's arrest came through. Within weeks of Diddy's arrest, Jeffries was behind bars, facing serious accusations similar to those against Diddy. This has led to a wave of speculation online, with many convinced that Diddy may have made a deal to give up information on Jeffries to the authorities in exchange for leniency. Netizens are buzzing about the idea that Diddy is cutting deals with the feds, potentially even spilling secrets about other powerful figures to avoid harsher penalties himself.
Welcome back. Authorities have arrested former Abercrombie & Fitch CEO Mike Jeffries. Prosecutors are charging him with sex trafficking charges, accusing him of sexually exploiting and abusing young men, suggesting that they would be hired as models. The U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of New York is holding a press conference on that right now. Let's listen in for just moments ago.
Good afternoon. I'm Breon Peace, the United States Attorney for the Eastern District of New York. Thank you all for joining us today. With me today are James Dennehy, Assistant Director in charge of the FBI's New York Field Office. We have Deputy Chief Carlos Ortiz, Commanding Officer of the NYPD Special Victims Unit. And we have my office's outstanding prosecution team, Aaron Reed, Megan Farrell, and Philip Pilmar. We're here today to announce the arrest and charging of 3 defendants. Former CEO of Abercrombie & Fitch, Michael Jeffries, Matthew Smith, and James Jacobson, on charges of sex trafficking and engaging in interstate prostitution. Powerful individuals for too long have trafficked and abused for their own sexual pleasure young people with few resources and a dream. a dream of securing a successful career in fashion or entertainment. To anyone who thinks they can exploit and coerce others by using the so-called casting couch system, this case should serve as a warning. Prepare to trade that couch for a bed in federal prison. The message from today's prosecution is clear. Sexually exploiting vulnerable human beings is a crime, and doing so by dangling dreams of a future in fashion or modeling or any other business is no different. My office and our law enforcement partners will always prioritize standing up for victims, no matter their gender and no matter how powerful the wrongdoers think they are. We will hold them to account.
According to the authorities, Jeffries used his position to take advantage of young men who wanted to further their modeling careers. He made them believe that he could make them successful and then used them for his own sexual satisfaction.
As we allege in the indictment, between 1992 and 2014, Michael Jeffries was the chief executive officer of Abercrombie & Fitch. Abercrombie was a widely known clothing retailer with stores around the world. Aspiring fashion models knew that a place on one of Abercrombie's iconic ads could be the ticket to success in the modeling industry. But while Jeffries was the CEO of one of the most recognizable clothing retailers in the world, he was using his power, his wealth, and his influence to traffic men for his own sexual pleasure and that of his romantic partner, Matthew Smith.
Both Diddy and Jeffries share strikingly similar backgrounds. Like Diddy, Mike is also known to be gay, and the sex parties that he held were eerily similar to Diddy's freak-offs.
In such places as England, France, Italy, Morocco, and St. Bart's, for the purpose of attending events to engage in commercial sex. But beyond simply hiring men for sex, Jeffries, Smith, and Jacobson used force, fraud, and coercion to traffic those men for their own sexual gratification. For example, as alleged, the defendants employed a referral system and an interview process that did not inform the men of the details of the sex events before they attended, including the full extent and nature of the sexual activity that would be required of the men at these events. They caused the men to believe that attending these sex events could yield modeling opportunities with Abercrombie or otherwise benefit their careers. Smith and Jeffries employed a secret staff to operate these sex events. The staff ensured that the men signed non-disclosure agreements and handed over their personal items, such as their phones, before the start of the events to maintain the secrecy of these events. The defendants caused the men to believe that not complying with requests for certain acts, sex acts, during the events could harm their careers.
Much like in Diddy's case, Mike Jeffries also was running a criminal enterprise and won't be going down alone.
This was a systematic, well-organized scheme to do this, but what stands out to you as you heard, again, kind of unthinkable allegations from the prosecutor?
I agree with you, Jesse, and that's why I started talking about the dates, because it seems like the type of case that would normally be charged as a RICO, either substantive or RICO conspiracy charge. Obviously, that can bring in a lot of individuals. It can bring in a lot of crimes. They didn't charge that in this case, but clearly you have a criminal enterprise here, and obviously that there are many individuals whose purpose was to recruit, groom these men, and engage in prostitution. And I think one of the big takeaways is what the U.S. attorney said, and that's that force, fraud, or coercion, because there's really three possibilities here. Obviously, having consensual sex with your boss to get ahead, it's not criminally unlawful. It may violate civil sexual harassment.
The video footage of Jeffries in court as the list of charges is read aloud is shockingly similar to the press conference held for Diddy. Watching these two moguls face justice one after another, some believe that Diddy's arrest was the turning point that the feds needed to finally bring down Jeffries. This chain reaction raises the possibility of more arrests coming from Diddy's so-called inner circle.
That used the business empire he controlled to carry out criminal activity, including sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and the obstruction of justice. Let me say a little bit more about the charges. The indictment alleges that Combs abused and exploited women and other people for years, and in a variety of ways. As alleged, Combs used force, threats of force, and coercion to cause victims to engage in extended sexual performances with male commercial sex workers, some of whom he transported or caused to be transported over state lines. Combs allegedly planned and controlled the sex performances, which he called freak-offs, and he often electronically recorded them. The freak-offs sometimes lasted days at a time, involved multiple commercial sex workers, and often involved a variety of narcotics such as ketamine, ecstasy, and GHB, which Combs distributed to the victims to keep them obedient and compliant. As alleged, when Combs didn't get his way, he was violent, and he subjected victims to physical, emotional, and verbal abuse so that they would participate in the freak-offs.
As the investigation deepens, speculation has turned to Diddy's closest celebrity friends, and the names circulating online are none other than Beyonce and Jay-Z. These two music giants have been linked to Diddy for decades, and rumors have circulated for years about their possible involvement in similar activities. Could they be next on the feds' radar?
Harvey Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein, Sean Combs have one person in common.
Jaguar Wright was saying it all along. The Jay-Z's.
The Will Smith.
What? Okay, now Will Smith, dude.
Hey.
Let's not even go there with Jada and everything. All the rumors. I'm so believing that she was sleeping with Mark Anthony, and then Will Smith busted in and caught him. And then Jaguar Wright was telling all this. I couldn't believe her back then. Now I believe. Now
everything that she said.
Everything she said.
She's an oracle, son.
Oh.
She's like from the Matrix, yo.
Diddy and Jay-Z are monsters.
How many victims potentially do you think there could be?
Thousands. Putting people on planes while they're unconscious, just like Aaliyah got on that plane.
Like I said, Jay-Z and Beyonce are not here, unfortunately, to respond to that.
I know. I'm just being honest with you.
Jaguar Wright is known to be a conspiracy theorist. I don't really co-sign anything that she said.
For years, Beyonce and Jay-Z have been entangled in whispers of alleged connections to underground networks. While nothing has ever been proven, and they've remained public darlings, some online commenters are now wondering if their association with Diddy might finally bring them under scrutiny. Given the depth of Diddy's alleged activities and the connections he has, the possibility of further arrests looms large.
Okay, and this is a 2013 blind item that was brought back again on March 4th about Beyonce, Jay-Z, Diddy, Kelly Rowland. In 2013, the Queen Bee and her husband attended a New Year's Eve party in Miami, which was being thrown by Mr. Freakoff. No one who was there has ever forgotten that night because she spent the entire night in the pool dancing into space. Her best friend, who recently starred in the Netflix movie, called for help, but she was ignored. It's like she was in a trance. By the way, so this is Beyonce and Jay-Z party into 2014 at Diddy's New Year's Eve bash. So you can Google that, Diddy's 2013, New Year's Eve bash, obviously bringing in 2014. And you can see in the articles how they had had linked Beyonce's Instagram account, and all of her posts from this 2013 party were removed when I initially reported on this blind item from my main account at the beginning of March. I just find that interesting. Do you guys see how all of these chips were kind of falling? This is why I'm also so pissed my main's not here anymore, because I had captured this all in real time. And I remember being like, oh, that's weird. All of Beyonce's posts from Diddy's party are fucking gone, and any evidence of her being there are fucking gone. This one aged so well, you guys.
The ripple effect of Diddy's arrest is shaking the industry, with people questioning how far-reaching these connections go. Diddy's inner circle has always included some of the biggest names in music and business, and if the authorities are able to make a case that links others to these crimes, we may see a wave of charges against some of Hollywood's elite. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. That's it for now. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more deep dives into the stories that shape entertainment. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.